Trust Company. We're going to give you guys a minute just to go ahead and get logged in, settled in, see what's going on today. I got a really unique guest coming on here very shortly. She's actually a good friend of mine. I've known her for multiple years. We've even done some cruises over in Cuba and stuff. But before we dive into that, I always like to talk a little bit about Quest. You know, obviously, as we kind of go through these motions, a lot of people seem to have questions either on real estate, lending, self-directed IRAs, etc. Right? So make sure you're leveraging the chat box, right? Everyone that's attending right now, please network with each other to some degree. Pitch your own deals, exchange information, and do your own due diligence always. All right? We're going to have a moderator. She's going to be able to, her name's Sarah. She's going to be able to answer any questions you guys might have. So make sure you're asking questions not only to the speaker about the topic today, but also be asking questions to us just on the self-directed IRAs, whether it is things from contribution limits, what you can invest in, or even some of the up and coming proposed bill changes. So a little bit about Quest real fast, guys, is right. We are the largest self-directed IRA custodian in Texas. A little over 20,000 active clients, a little over 2.1 billion in assets with 100 employees. Now, what's unique about that is those 100 employees are some of the most educated employees in the self-directed world that you will ever have the privilege of working with, right? Quincy and Nathan, the owners of Quest, have really taken it upon themselves to make sure we get those certified IRA service professionals. Now, what that means is a CISP license that we actually get from the American Banking Association, which is a fancy way of saying that we read and study tax code, right? And you have to take a long growing test that literally takes several weeks to go through, and it is tough. But we have multiple people on our staff that have already passed that exam, as well as other people that are in attending those as well. So we do at any point in time have right around $400 million in undirected cash. So what that really means is clients like yourself have set up IRAs, they've moved in capital, and they haven't found a deal yet. This is why you want to leverage the chat box. Make sure you're on here and you're like, hey, look, my name's so-and-so, I'm looking to buy, sell, trade, loan, extend, whatever you might want to do, right? Quick disclaimer though, anything from today is only for education, all right? My friend of mine that will be coming on here in just a moment, right? And us at Quest, we can't ever give you legal advice or tax advice. Our job is really to hopefully educate you on some of the best things that you can do with your IRA or just in real estate in general. Now, talking about some other unique things real fast is Quest. We like to pride ourselves on how fast we can fund investments, but we found a way to make it faster for everybody. And this is going through just your Quest client portal. Right now, if you want a deal funded, all right, the quickest way to get it done is all you got to do is log into your account. You select the investment you want to do, and you can literally go through the full thing in about 15 minutes, right? And then have all the documents sent to the proper transaction person for review for funding. It is unbelievably fast, so make sure you're leveraging your client portal. If you've never logged in, send us an email, and we can help you out with that process. Always remember, we offer a lot of free education, you know, and don't forget that it pays to have friends. Anyone out there right now, if you set up an IRA, you have an IRA with us, and you want to refer a friend, we'll pay you for it. We will literally give you free money, right? And it'll be added as a credit to your account for future fees to anyone that you want to refer over to Quest. So feel free to always contact us at IRAspecialist@questtrust.com. I find that's the quickest way to get a response because that's where all of our IRA specialists, whether they're on the marketing team or sales team or one of the speakers, right? Everyone will get this email and someone will typically reply very fast, right? As long as it's during normal business hours. Now, without any further ado, I wanted to take a moment and kind of talk up my friend that will be jumping on with us in just a moment. So hi, Wendy, there she is. So Wendy here, she has done a lot of things from obviously lending money, owning rentals, runs one of probably the best hard money companies out there, right? Carolina Capital. And I think it's unique because to really understand how to do loans, you need to understand what you're lending on. And I think that's what you're talking about today. Is that right, Wendy? You're going to be talking a lot today about physical properties, short-term rentals, right? And what to look for so you can become a better lender. And this is why companies like yours that done multiple loans, right, through across the US and stuff have become so successful as you really understand the rental business, whether it's short-term or long-term. So
That's exactly right. Thank you so much. I want to apologize first for where I am. I am actually in Salt Lake City at an event. I've tried to find a quiet corner, but I can't guarantee it's going to be quiet. So I apologize in advance for that. But I'm so honored that you guys asked me to be a panelist again. I love being on this show.
Absolutely.
I love, of course, talking about real estate, but I really love talking to people about the importance of understanding all the different ways that you can use your self-directed IRA. It's amazing the options that you have out there for you. In fact, when I am talking to investors and helping them raise money to do what they need to do, I always tell them, the more you understand self-directed money, the better you'll be at raising it, because you'll understand what they can and cannot do. You're going to make them feel like you're protecting. You're going to look at their money as if it's yours. And
Absolutely.
it's all about making everybody happy and everybody successful at what they're doing. So thank you for allowing me to do this.
No worries. And so when you got about 60 people on here right now that are listening to you, you got also people live on Facebook watching and listening that aren't showing up down there below. Remember, guys, leverage the chat box, ask questions to Wendy. In the event she's at, just to point out how big of a deal it is, Wendy's actually at an event with some of probably the wealthiest people in the US, including a couple of billionaires. So I appreciate her taking the time out of her day to do this type of stuff. So Wendy, I'm here in the background, but I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just going to start a little bit, telling you a little bit about myself. I started out as a mortgage broker. I call myself a recovering mortgage broker at this point. In 2007, I did give up my conventional mortgage broker license, and now we just do hard money. We lend hard money all over the Southeast. We do not only the short-term fix and flip type loans, but we also have a program that we do for long-term buy and hold people as well. My favorite thing that we do, though, is bridge funding for people who are starting to do apartment complexes and self-storage and things like that. We fund those gaps that need to be funded, and it's all short-term. I like short-term lending because, in my opinion, if I'm in a short-term loan, as the market changes around me, I can also change what it is that I lend. Can change my rates. I can change all my terms. I'm in much more control when I'm in a shorter term loan, because I can continue to change with the market. There's plenty of people that are extremely successful doing long-term loans, buying and selling long-term notes. I get that. As long as you understand what you're doing, you'll do great. You'll have a lot of things in front of you. So my side gig, although I'm a lender, my side gig is that I am a short-term rental freakazoid, I guess you would say. I have 9 short-term rental properties, and all but one of them right now is within 3 miles of my office. Let me tell you where my office is. I'm in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Does anybody know where Rock Hill, South Carolina is? No, don't worry about it. Most other people don't either. Rock Hill is a suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina. But why would people come to Rock Hill, South Carolina? And that's the thing, is there's all kinds of business for short-term rental properties, whether you're at the beach or in the mountains or in small town USA. And that's really what I wanted to share with you today, is how easy it is to be a successful lender to people who are doing short-term rental properties. I did come up with let me see if I can find, I'm going to share my screen, and I wanted to find my PowerPoint that I could share with you guys. And here we go. Let's see. I'm sorry, I should have been better at this. I don't know that that's it. That's my whiteboard. Let's see. And it's not showing up, and I'm really sorry about this, folks. I should have been better prepared. Let's see. Can you see this?
Not yet.
Not showing. Let me try one more time. I'm going to open up. if teenagers would hear, I'd be really good at this. Try one more thing. If I can't, then I can wing it, and it's not a problem because that's what I do anyway. Maybe we could go here.
You got something coming. There you go. Yay. I see the small town short-term rentals, and then you just can start the slideshow.
Okay. So let me go to start the slideshow. There we go. I don't want to try that, but thank you. Let's see. And I'm on my laptop, which is not the best thing in the world at this point.
Go ahead and click slideshow again.
Yeah.
And then all the way to the left, it says play from start.
Thank you, Lord. Okay.
Bam, there you go.
Lord, but thank you. Okay, so sorry about that, folks. Let's see. So I told you a little bit about who I am, what I'm doing. When I prepared this, I actually had more properties. I have sold some of those properties because the market is so good, and I made a lot of money off of them. So I sold a few of them, and I'm still buying more. And I'm also investing in some short-term rentals or short self-storage rental properties that I'm looking at now. Okay, so we're going to start off with some myths about short-term rentals. What I really want to do is I want to make sure you understand why people are going to small towns for short-term rentals. You don't have to just be at the beach. You don't have to be at the mountains. In fact, when you are in a short-term rental property at a destination, you are going to have seasons, and it's really going to affect what the market does. Back in, I guess it was very early 2020 when COVID really, really hit, we were booked solid in all of our units. And of course, everybody experienced a quick cancellation on a lot of things. All of ours, we experienced cancellations, but only lasted 1 week. We were full within 1 week of getting all those cancellations, but it was with a different clientele. It was more with construction workers and traveling nurses and just a whole different set of people that were there, but we stayed full. In fact, the year of COVID, that whole full year of COVID that we've been dealing with, it has been the best year we've had, which is kind of cool. So there are a lot of myths about short-term rentals. I want to talk about those myths, kind of get you to understand why people feel the way that they do, and also show you that if you are interested in lending with your self-directed IRA, the properties that you should probably be looking at to make you a better lender. So people think to be successful, you have to be in a big destination or a city. That's not true. The destinations can be a roller coaster, seasonal, all kinds of things can be going on there. So just want to make sure that you understand it's not destination. The thing you need to really be concerned about is you want to make sure that I'm going to try and move my box of my view of you guys, show a thumbnail, and see if I can move you out of my way to see it. But it says seasonal check-in. You want to make sure your exit strategy is pretty strong. That's really, really important. So how they're going to get out of it, how they're going to sell it, what are they going to do to sell it? One of the things I really like a lot about short-term rentals is that if it doesn't work as a short-term rental, it should always work as a long-term rental. So when we're underwriting any kind of a short-term property, when I'm going to buy a short-term property, I always make sure that it will hold its own as a long-term rental property and still be in the positive on the income. As long as it'll do that, it's a good investment for that person. So here's another myth is that it needs to be in near perfect condition. That is absolutely not true. I have, in fact, one of the houses that I just ended up selling, built in 1963. I even had tile on the floors in the bathroom that were, the old pink and blue tiles. Very, very eclectic, I guess is the way it would look. And that's the thing, is it just needed to be clean. As long as the home is clean, the condition is not as important. You want it to be in good working order. They want to make sure that, you know, the cabinets are in good working order, everything's clean, countertops look good, the floor is in good shape. You can have an old looking doors. You can even have older windows in the house, as long as, you know, you're not losing money through the windows with the weather. that happens. But as long as everything is clean, you've got guests that'll be really, really happy. Another myth is that you must furnish it just like your home. Here's what I think is really cool about this. Absolutely not true. In fact, in my short-term rentals, I only put a dresser in the master bedroom, and I don't put dressers in any of my other rooms. I do end tables. I make sure that there's a place for them to put clothes, like in the closet area, like a luggage rack. I always have a luggage rack, just like in a hotel. Even when I go to a hotel, they have these beautiful dressers. I never use them. The only time I ever use a dresser, if I'm on vacation, or even in a hotel type setting, is on a cruise. I'll put my clothes in a drawer on a cruise because it's so tiny. But that's the only time I ever use them. I still live out of my suitcase. So that's why I make sure that I have luggage racks. I don't have dressers. The other thing that's really, really cool is how you decorate a property makes the difference. The person that got me into doing short-term rentals, it's been 5, maybe 6 years ago now. Her name is Pam Whitworth. That girl has got it going on. When I first walked into the first Airbnb I had ever been in, it was at her house. There was a Volkswagen Beetle door leaning up against her fireplace. It was the coolest thing I had ever seen. I loved it. She had all kinds of like she had an oil can that was made out of glass, and that oil can made out of glass had M&Ms in it. That's what she had sitting on the counter. She never had any racks or anything like that to hang her towels or her clothes on. Everything was in baskets or on really unique hooks and shelves. It was just amazing the way that was done. In one of my houses, I live on a farm, and I had I don't know, 60 rabbit cages that I inherited that were worn. And I mean, it still had the fur on the cages. I know that sounds kind of bad, but I took those cages, hosed them down, and I hang a door to a door to a rabbit cage in every one of my units. And I get more compliments on this door for a rabbit cage that's hanging. All the hardware still on it. I did get the fur off, but it's just, they're just looking for things that are unique, things that you might not put in your own house, but it's perfect for an Airbnb. Funky gets it. It's really good. I go to yard sales. That's how I buy my dishes and silverware and just unique pictures and, you know, knickknacks. I call them dustables. But I don't use a whole lot of knickknacks because they are dustables. I want to make it something that's really unique looking, but something that my housekeepers can come in and really take care of really quickly. Here's another myth. Guests will tear up and destroy your house. They always worry about parties. That is absolutely not true. You can put a stop to it right up front. One of the things that I love about going through a short-term rental platform like Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, some of those that they're using. Furnished Finders is another one that people can list on. The reason why I like going through those platforms is because they have certain things in place that people have to fill out about themselves, so that they're vetting them before they come to you. Also, if something really goes wrong and you know, they put a hole in the wall, and that did happen at one of my properties. Somebody actually fell down steps, they tripped and ran into the wall at the bottom and put a hole in my sheetrock. Now, it cost me $200 to fix it, but I reported it to Airbnb. They admitted they had done it. They told me about it ahead of time. And it was paid for. I didn't have to pick up the charge on something like that. That doesn't always happen, but normally if something goes wrong, it's something that you could easily work out. And it's very rare that something happens. I never have parties at my properties, because in my description of the property, I always make sure that I mention that I have noise monitors installed in my house. They all see that too, because if they are planning a party, they'll ask about the noise monitors, and I let them know that they will go off and that we have a law in our city that there's no noise after 10 o'clock. People who are really having an intention on having some sort of a party will cancel or not book at all when they see that. So it's been a really good deterrent for me. I don't have cameras. Some people do, but I don't have cameras. A lot of people do the ring central at the doorway so they can see who's going in and out. But that noise monitor has really helped out a lot. For us, we haven't had that problem. And I have, over 9 properties for quite a few years now. I haven't had to run into that. We rarely get things that are broken. I have had some lamps. I replace blinds a lot, but I buy them for, $7, $8 a piece at Lowe's. It's not going to kill me. You wear and tear, you're going to lose towels and, glasses and things like that. But really, it's just not a big deal. It's not an issue that we have to deal with. Another myth is that your guests will steal stuff. Maybe I should knock on wood. I haven't had anybody take anything. Oh, I'm telling you a story. I did have someone take a throw pillow out of one of my houses. The key is you got to have the housekeepers really let you know when something's missing or out of place or broken or something like that. Fortunately, my housekeeper didn't let me know, so we weren't sure which guest took it, but a throw pillow, $20, I can deal with that. We also take a bigger step, and we lock our supplies in a separate closet, or if I have a shed out in the backyard, I lock it in a separate shed that only my housekeepers have the entrance code to. So we give them enough supplies for their stay and hide the rest. That way you keep an honest people honest. There's another myth that says you get calls all hours of the day and night. That is absolutely not true. There'll be somebody every once in a while that will, text me at 11 o'clock at night or at midnight. I've had that happen. Somebody locked themselves out of a room or the house. I always try to keep a key hidden that they can get to, that I don't tell them about unless they've actually locked themselves out. I always keep extra batteries too, because we use key codes for something like that. But for the most part, I never have people calling me at odd hours. There's a great way to avoid that too, and that's to hire a virtual assistant that can handle all those calls for you. There's a lot of people out there that'll do that, and they do a very good job at it. The other thing we do is we communicate like crazy. We put labels on everything. The temperature gauge, every cabinet will have, here's your appliance cabinet, your silverware goes in here, where blankets are, fire extinguisher, first aid kit. We communicate big time on that kind of thing with the labels. And we like to give out coupons from the area and really sell our area up. So we're just trying to communicate like crazy. And what's really cool about it is because of these platforms that we use, everything's automated. So we preload all of these messages that go out to people on a regular basis, 2 days before they arrive, the day before they arrive, the day they arrive, day after they arrive, the day before they leave, we send them another one, letting them know all the things they need to do before they check out. And then the day they leave, and asking them to be sure to give us a review, because we are trying to maintain our superhost status. So there are all kinds of things that we're constantly sending out. And communication is the number one comment that we get, is that they really love that communication. Even when certain things do go wrong, every now and again, having that constant communication is something that people just feel like you really care what they're doing, what's going on in their world. So another myth is it just takes up too much time. I'll never have peace or freedom from my phone. I'll be honest with you, sometimes you feel like that even, when you want to go out of town, there's something going on with your Airbnb, or somebody has a problem. Always seems to happen when you're not there. Again, that's when I say it's a great opportunity to have someone be a co-host for you and help you out, especially if you're going to be out of town doing something like that. Does not take up a lot of time. It's 5 minutes out of your day, maybe. It's not a big deal. It's a great thing. I love doing this. And if you like people, you really enjoy it. If you don't like people, you might not like this so much, but you want to make sure that if you're lending money to someone who is doing the Airbnb thing, that they either have help or that they love people, and are able to be good communicators in what they're doing. Doesn't take too much time. Hiring help is really important. Another myth is I can't find or I can't count on my cleaner or a handyman. Let me tell you what, that's absolutely true. The hardest thing about this business is finding a good housekeeper and a good handyman. And as I've said here, you kiss a lot of frogs to get to the right person. But once you get to the right person that has the same goals and desires and core values that you have as an Airbnb host, then you will be rocking and rolling. You can find the right people. You just have to keep trying. That's probably the biggest reason why, number one, I like all of my short-term rentals as close to me as possible, because I like building the relationship with the housekeeper and the handyman and that kind of thing. My brother and I do have a short-term rental in Florida, which is far, far away from where we are. But thank God we have good friends that are in that town, and they were able to turn us on to cleaners, handymen, all kinds of people that are there to help us, even down to the grass cuts. So it's been very helpful for us there. So here's what everybody wants to know is, who's coming to your town? If I'm in this small town of Rock Hill, who's coming? And this is really it. Weddings, family reunions, family visitations. We get a lot of construction crews. In fact, I have 3 properties in Rock Hill, South Carolina right now that are full for the next 3 weeks at full price, because they're coming in for our power plant. They shut down every year and they do a cleaning. I don't know exactly what they do, upgrading kind of things at the power plant. And that's what's working. They come in, they sleep, and they work. They're working, 12-hour days while they're there. So they're just looking for a really good place to crash. We have gas grills out there so they can cook and that kind of thing as well, and spend some time outside. But we've had film crews. We've got a lot of colleges nearby, so parents stay there. Traveling medical personnel is a great business. People who are building new homes. There's a lot of new home construction going on. We get a lot of people that are here for that. And Rock Hill's a big sports town. We have the largest, what's it called? It's the largest athletic complex that is not attached to a college on the East Coast, is in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We have the National Cornhole Tournament in Rock Hill, South Carolina. You don't want to miss that every August. We also have a National Frisbee golf. It's a disc golf tournament. In addition to, we have a huge complex that's called a velodrome. It's a biking complex where they are doing all kinds of bike races. It's the only bicycle place, or I should call it a venue, where they can do 5 events at the same time. The only other one is France, where that can be done in France. So, Rock Hill in France, they're a lot alike. So why do people visit small towns? I just gave you a bunch of good information on that. 80% of my properties are within 3 miles of my office. And here's another thing that's really cool is you can see if you're interested in lending on one of these properties, it doesn't matter if it's a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, they're all going to be needed at some point and rented at some point. Age, old properties, that's considered character. That's really what they're looking for. There's another thing that's kind of neat. It's called communal housing. Now, that's not necessarily on Airbnb, but there's housing that you can, they share a kitchen, they share a den. They have individual codes, combination locks for every single bedroom. And it's communal housing. Most of them are executives, young executives. They're, young 20-year-olds that are moving closer to a big city. They're trying to get, it's like their first big job. They don't quite qualify for regular rental property, a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom property. They're looking for something small that they can stay. They pay weekly. I know it sounds crazy, but the income from that is even greater than a short-term Airbnb type property. There's another one that does this communal housing that is paid for by the Veterans Administration. They'll pay $700-800 a month for a room. And if you've got a 4-bedroom house, that's a pretty good income. And it's guaranteed. It's like Section 8, but it's paid for by the Veterans Service Administration. And of course, it's just a different type of person that you're going to get in there. It's not really boarding house. You don't want to say the word boarding house, and that's not what it really is. The reason why I'm explaining this to you is because if you are interested in lending, that's a great type property to be lending on. So here's the other thing. I was talking about how important it is to find the right property for short-term rentals. So all of the properties must stand alone as a long-term rental. You want to make sure that each property, that if for some reason the short-term rental wouldn't work out, that each property would be able to collect enough money on a monthly rent to cover the mortgage payment and then have income off of that. I like to have my income returned within 5 years of me putting out my capital. I want to have my return on my money. I want to have everything paid for within 5 years. I want to make sure that house is paid for within 5 years, just from the rental income that I'm doing. The next one is less competition, reduced cost, outside the city limits, eclectic is okay, and amenities do matter. So for the properties that we're looking for, the competition, there just isn't as much out there. What we're looking for when I say less competition, I like looking at the houses that have a backyard that crashes in the back, there's a big divot in the back, or they pull up into the driveway and the driveway straight down. The houses that most families won't buy, they're on a busy street. That's really important as well. There's a lot of people that will not buy a house, or they're only going to pay a whole lot less for the house if that house is on a busy street. So if a house is on a busy street, I know that I can get maybe $10,000 to $15,000 less for it if I'm going to turn around and sell it. But as a rental property, especially a short-term rental property, it's great to have it on a busy street. People want to be close to all of the amenities, the big box stores, the grocery stores, that kind of thing. So there's less competition for the home buyer, which is who our competition is now when we're buying short-term properties. We're going up against mom and dad homeowner on something like that. Eclectic is okay. Eclectic is important. Weird sells, the things that are The things that are the most attractive for people who are wanting to stay in Airbnb are they're looking for experience. They like tree houses. They like glamping. They like yurts. They like cabins, tiny houses. Those are the things that get rented first. And those are the ones that are hardest to get financed if you are buying a short-term rental property. Those are the hardest ones to get financed for. Those are the best ones that as a lender, you will be able to feel pretty good about what you're lending on because they stay booked. It's amazing. I also always like to see anyone who's in a short-term rental. I want to make sure that they've got at least 20% equity in the house once they're all in. Because the market's always changing. You always want to make sure that you're sitting in a good position. You as a lender, I would never be in it any deeper than 70%. That's what we do as a lender. And I certainly wouldn't expect anyone else to be in a house any deeper than that as a lender, unless you want to do some sort of a second. Stay tuned for Derek's next presentation. He's going to talk about doing seconds. It's kind of cool. The last thing is you want to make sure that the area is really safe that you're in. I always say that if somebody, if a female can pull in the driveway and feel comfortable unloading her suitcase at night, at about 10 o'clock at night, then that's a good place to be investing in. Whether you're the buyer or whether you're the lender, you want to make sure it's a safe, walkable area because walkable makes a big difference. Okay. There's other ways too for people to drive up the revenue when they're doing this. There's a 30, 60, 90 day. Some people give out discounts. Some people will only allow a 30, 60, 90 day stay. They won't allow anything less than that. There's a lot of people making a good living doing that. Another thing we do is we charge pet fees. Pets will damage property. There's dander, there's hair. It's really an issue getting dog hair out. So we'd make sure that we charge pet fees. Some people don't allow pets in there at all. You can even make more money doing the early and the late check-ins. We charge $25 an hour if somebody wants to check in late or check out late. We do purchase pack and plays and high chairs, and we charge $10 a stay for people to rent those items. And we bought them at a yard sale. Another way is people can rent bikes and boats, jet skis, canoes, kayaks, all kinds of really cool things. It's just another source of revenue that can go along with that. Amenities do matter very much. We put fire pits at every one of our houses so people can enjoy the outside with Adirondack chairs. We also do gas grills out there. I set up cornhole boards. Those are available to them. On the inside, I go to all these different yard sales and Habitat for Humanity and any of these consignment shops where they're selling used things. And I buy all the Monopoly games and cards, poker chips. I even have poker chips at one of my places. There's just all kinds of indoor games and things like that that you can have available for them. Puzzles, books. We put these outdoor ashtrays outside. We want to encourage them to do that kind of thing outside, not inside. As a lender, you'll want to make sure that if you're lending money on it, that the person you're loaning to has checked with their zoning to make sure they're in compliance with what their city's going to allow. Every town is different on what they will and will not allow for short-term rentals. So make sure that they're checking that. It wouldn't hurt you either as a lender to call that town and make sure that the use of the house is legal in the area, because that can be a real problem. Again, if it's a house that will stand on its own as a rental property, then when zoning changes, when and if zoning changes, that won't matter. We hope that people care about their neighbors and what they're thinking. We always give them little pizza coupons and tell them what's going on and giving them our phone number if anything should arise where they're noisy or causing any kind of issue, please call me. I want them to call me. And here's coupons for Starbucks or pizza or whatever we do to get them to take care of that. HOAs are a big thing too. You always need to make sure that you have read the covenants and restrictions of every HOA to make sure that they will allow short-term rentals in that neighborhood, because that can put a stop to it real quick. Also, we love that they're charging us an occupancy tax where we are in Rock Hill, because now the Visitors and Convention Bureau has to promote our short-term properties as well, just like the hotels. I love it. Every printed material that they get, we have them sitting in our short-term rentals so we can promote our city as well. So a takeaway here would be communication. That's really, really important. You want to have things to do. You can even people do tent cards about upcoming events. You want to really promote your area. It's really important. This, I don't know if you can see the whole thing here, but this is something that I offer. I give away a complimentary 30-minute mentor conversation every Wednesday. It's called Wednesdays with Wendy. If you want to talk about short-term rentals, if you want to talk about lending your IRAs, if you just want to talk anything about real estate, I am happy to spend some time with you. This is the way that you can get on my calendar and book that. I think I'm booked out till the second week in December right now, but it's well worth it. If I can't help you, I will certainly hook you up with someone who can. I'm happy to do that at any time. I love this business. I love sharing about this business, and I just can't get enough of it. And it's amazing to me what I learn when I get to meet with people and share about what's going on in the world here with the short-term rentals. So I'm trying to find there we go. Stop sharing. Oh gosh, there's a whole bunch of notes over here that I couldn't see.
That's okay, Wendy. I was kind of skimming through them, so I appreciate you coming on. I was going to ask you a couple questions, just kind of strictly straight from the audience, right? And we're going to kind of start with we had a question early on, and I'm fairly certain I know the answer to this, but it's more about gap funding.
Okay.
Would you ever switch from like an interest tile type gap funding to an equity position instead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we do that actually. In fact, we usually do a combination of the two. Because you can, and that's the thing, and it's a great question, because you need to understand that as a lender, you're the one with the gold, so you get to make the rules. And when people come to you for money, you want to find out what their needs are, but you need to make sure that your needs are met as well, and that it's a good deal for everybody. So there are a lot of deals that we'll do where we'll make the interest rate really low, but we'll have an equity piece on the back end. And it may even be that the interest stops getting paid at some point, like after 3 years. Even after our loan is paid back, our equity piece will continue. Either evergreen, or we can, set it for 5 years, or the next refinance, or however you want to set it up. That's what's so great about being the lender, because you're in control. It's your money.
So, go ahead.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is, if anybody has any questions about how they would like to talk about structuring a deal, book a time with me. I'm happy to talk to you about options that I've seen out there and ones we've used.
Mike, I hope you got all that. I hope you're still on and listening. So I think that's your key right there, Mike. A couple questions here really comes about turnkey properties. Is there a group or company you work with that you know of that would that pretty much will sell you the turnkey properties that you like a broker or something?
You mean as a short-term rental? A turnkey short-term rental?
Like in Houston, the one that comes to mind for me is I'm blanking. I'll think about it in a minute. But I know there's one here in Houston, but they don't typically deal in short-term rentals.
I'd have to Google that. And
Mhm.
you can literally Google those very words. Turnkey short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And you'll get a big list of people that'll do that.
Love it. Wendy, I guess a lot of people in here are asking for your contact info. I'm going to put it here right in the chat box for everyone. What's the best email address for you?
Wendy at carolinahardmoney.com. And I see one that says, have you considered hiring a property manager? Is it too expensive? I'm glad that question's on there, because there are lots of options for property managers for short term. I was just speaking with a gentleman sitting right beside me, Glenn Strongberg. You guys probably know him.
Glenn very well.
And he's a homeboy. He's right there in Texas. He has a property on the lake there that he short term rents, and he has a property manager. And I said, well, how much are you paying? He said 15%. That's cheap. So I've seen them from now 15% up to 30%. Normal is between 20 and 25. And people go, oh my gosh, well, that seems like so much money to pay. But I promise you, your income is so much higher on a short-term rental that 20% is not hurting you at all. You're still going to cash flow in a huge way. And understand that they're not just booking properties and walking away. It's a job that they're doing for you, and they're using different companies to make sure that that the algorithms are telling you exactly what price you should be charging for that particular night versus the 1 and 2 nights. They're really detailed about it.
I learned my lesson of not having a property manager and trying to do it myself versus having one. Now, it wasn't a short-term rental, but I'll tell you what, never again. I don't care what that property manager charges. They're well worth it. So those of you who think that your time is worth that, you may want to reconsider. So now a couple things on here. I got someone asking some questions about a noise monitor. Did you see that one?
Say that one more time.
Someone asking about noise monitors.
Yes.
Is there a specific brand that you like or you recommend?
I would love to tell you that there is, but my teammate, my co-host, is the one who actually buys those and puts them in for me. So I don't even know what brand she buys, but I know that it's a plug-in. It plugs right into an outlet. So we find a place that's kind of hidden where they can't see where that is. A lot of them think it's a carbon monoxide alert, so they don't mess with it. But it comes right to our phone, and it'll say, hey, and we get to set the decibels, how high we want it to be. And it'll alert my phone. So if somebody claps, it'll go off. It'll just go off and say, hey, there's a noise. If it remains high, like a really loud television or a party going on, then it keeps telling me, hey, this is really going on. You might want to address it. And we've had it go off a few times. We call the people and say, hey, you're a little loud. And they turn it right back down. It's been great for us. We haven't had any problems at all.
Actually a genius. I love that. I got a really unique question, and I think I'd answer it different than most people, but I'm curious to see how you'd answer it. We have one of our clients on here. They're saying, they're not an attorney or anything like that. How do they start to become a lender? What is the best thing to do?
To become a lender?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing you need to do is I would absolutely know, like, and trust the person that I'm lending to. Number one. I can tell you, when I started doing hard money, short-term loans like this, I went to every single local real estate investor association meeting that I could go to. And the reason why I was going to these events is because I wanted to see who the movers and shakers were. I wanted to get to know who the people were that were doing business, that had a good reputation, because they all talk about each other. So
absolutely,
had a good reputation, who was successful, and who I would be comfortable lending money to. So if I'm lending my self-directed money, I want to lend it to somebody that I know, like, and trust. And even then, You still have to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that you're doing the due diligence. You can't just do it on a handshake. You need to make sure everything's in writing. And not only is that a great thing for you, but it's a great thing for your borrower. You might be saying the same words, but unless it's on paper, then you understand the meaning of what those words mean. And having it in writing just keeps everybody on the same page and in a good spot together. It's as you lend more and more, you'll become more comfortable with what you're doing as far as the due diligence is concerned. But when we underwrite things, even from the very beginning, not only do we underwrite the person who we're lending to, but we also very much care about what we're lending on. Where is it located? If I have to take this house back tomorrow, how quickly can I get rid of it? That's my number one question on everything. How quickly can I get rid of it? How big is my audience going to be that I can sell it to? So I want to make sure that it's something that a lot of people would want, not just a small amount. Does that make sense?
It does for me. See, for me, when I got started lending, because I currently have 8 notes out right now where I've lent my funds.
Awesome.
But I started off by buying a note, right? And I bought a note strictly from someone such as yourself, right? That I knew I could trust, that I knew they did the due diligence, because I wanted that book, right? I wanted to see so I could kind of understand what was going through. So, Wendy, do you guys at Carolina Hard Money, do you guys have notes if someone wanted to buy one from you to kind of get a packet like that?
We do. We have notes for sale for people that are both accredited and non-accredited investors. Our $50,000 is our minimum, but anybody can buy a note out of our fund, which is really what you're doing. And it's done through an assignment and an allonge, but you get a copy of the entire closing package. So you're seeing the credit score and the background check and all the information on the houses and things like that. So yes, we do that. And it can be here's the thing that you need to understand though. When you buy a note, no matter how long the term is, there's always a possibility that it's not going to get paid off at the end of that term, which is why we have an option to renew the note. You never know how long that's going to be. So if you're thinking to yourself that, hey, I want to lend this for the next 90 days, but then I'm going to need my cash back because I want to do it on something else. Don't ever lend thinking that, because you never know what's going to happen on the back end. How long is it really going to take them to resell it or refinance it? Or you never know what's going to happen. Don't expect that your money's going to come right back to you exactly when you think it is, because that's not going to happen.
Man, I love it. And like I said, I think that's a great way if you're brand new and you've never done a loan before, hook up with someone like Wendy, right? Because she can actually give you a packet like, hey, look, this is why we did this loan.
That's
Here's
right.
the interest rate and the due diligence on the property and their credit score. And now this is, I like to say it's a template. Because now I got something for my next deal when I'm going to go do my own loan. So
that's exactly right. And, if you are a person that, you've done some loans and you're getting comfortable with what you're doing, the reason why I even wanted to bring up the short-term part is because there's a lot of lenders who will lend on what I like to call vanilla houses, the normal located in a neighborhood, 2 to 3 bedroom kind of houses. The lenders, the people that are having trouble getting loans are the ones that are building tree houses and yurts and renting out RVs. They're renting out all of these really tiny houses, these really unique houses. A lot of lenders don't understand that. The big lenders, the conventional lenders absolutely don't understand it.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that are really making good money. They're good, solid investors, and they're having a hard time finding people that will lend them money. The perfect lender for them are people that have self-directed money to lend.
I love it. I love it. Now, Wendy, before we kind of close out, I really do appreciate you coming on. I'm going to throw you on the spot a little bit. I know you're not on our next one, but right around the corner is our QuestCon event, the one we do once a quarter where we bring in a group of investors and stuff. Now, you've spoken on this, and so was Bill, your partner. What do you think of QuestCon? I got to throw you on the spot.
It's the best. It's the best. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a great way to learn a lot of diverse options that are out there. It's amazing. And then the networking is like, you can't put a price on that.
Not at all.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We love QuestCon.
Well, thank you. So guys, if you would like to attend our QuestCon event, right now we still have early bird tickets for less than $50.
Wow.
You can't beat that. And if you want to set up an IRA and you don't have one, we'll actually give you a QuestCon ticket for free if it's your first self-directed IRA. But make sure, and I'm going to have Sarah put a little link right down below so you guys can get your tickets. Remember, it's early bird pricing. And like Wendy was saying, what we try to do is bring in speakers from across the US that teach in different topics. In addition, right, it's fantastic for networking. We allow you to ask questions and you get the recording of the full event for less than $50, guys.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So it is well worth it.
You know what else too? And I know I shouldn't be telling you to push this because you do anyway. I love your mixers that you do.
Oh, absolutely.
They're so good. What a great way to meet other people. It's you guys have the best. I think you just have the best network of not only meeting other people, but of learning such a diverse opportunity to get into real estate. It's amazing.
Well, Wendy, you've been a good friend of mine. You know, I think the first time we really hung out was out there in Cuba on one of the Quest cruises, right? But any last minute closing statements before we kind of end everything and close it all out?
I would have to say that if there's anybody in here that actually doesn't have a self-directed IRA, Roth, traditional, whatever you choose to have, you are so missing the boat. It's such a great way to grow your future. And when you have these things, you have to be able to take advantage of it. And the more you learn about it, the better you'll be. And what I love about it too is you don't have to do this alone. You know, you might not have enough money to lend on this big deal, but if you know other people that have self-directed IRAs, you know, you can get together and do all kinds of things that would be untouchable if you didn't have that self-directed money.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wendy. Don't forget, guys, reach out to her. It's pretty easy. Wendy at carolanahardmoney.com. Right? She'll sit down with you on a private level, you know, to do a 30-minute, you know, consultation with you to help you out. She can do loans. She talks about short-term rentals. Wendy, you do it all. So thank you for coming on. You've been a good supporter of Quest. You know, enjoy Salt Lake City. Make sure you tell Eddie I said hi while he's out there. Say, hey, Derek said hi.
I'll do it.
All right. Thanks, Wendy. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.